Alright, let's dive into something that's got the rugby world buzzing, especially if you're in Wales. The Welsh Rugby Union, WRU, has just outlined its plan to cut down from 4 professional teams to 3 by 2028. Now, on the surface, this might seem like a straightforward restructuring, but personally, I think there's a lot more going on here than meets the eye. What makes this really interesting is the way it's being handled, specifically, the fact that Ospreys and Scarlets are essentially being pitted against each other for survival. This isn't just about cutting costs, it's about reshaping the entire landscape of Welsh rugby. From my perspective, the decision to keep Cardiff and Dragons as the teams for the Capital and East regions feels almost strategic. Cardiff, owned by the WRU, and Dragons, with their independent backing, seem to have a level of security that Ospreys and Scarlets don't. But here's where it gets tricky. The WRU is leaving the door open for a potential merger between Ospreys and Scarlets. Now, if you take a step back and think about it, mergers in sports are rarely smooth. Fans have deep loyalties, and combining 2 teams can feel like erasing a part of their identity. What this really suggests is that the WRU is willing to take a risk to achieve its vision, even if it means alienating some supporters. One thing that immediately stands out is the timeline. The WRU is giving itself until the end of the 2026-27 season to finalize the decision. That's a lot of time for uncertainty, and I can't help but wonder how this will affect player morale, sponsorships, and fan engagement. Miriam Auckland, chair of the Professional Rugby Board, mentioned that this timeline is to avoid prolonged uncertainty, but in my opinion, it might have the opposite effect. Players and fans thrive on stability, and this feels like a long period of limbo. What many people don't realize is that this isn't just about the teams themselves, it's about the broader ecosystem of Welsh rugby. The WRU is talking about developing player pathways, improving facilities, and concentrating resources. This raises a deeper question: is this restructuring a necessary step to elevate Welsh rugby on the global stage, or is it a gamble that could backfire? Personally, I think it's a bit of both. On one hand, streamlining resources could lead to stronger, more competitive teams. On the other hand, losing a team, or merging 2, could dilute the rich history and culture of the sport in Wales. A detail I find fascinating is the mention of the Professional Rugby Agreement, PRA, signed by Scarlets and Ospreys this summer. It's almost like they're preparing for a fight, knowing they're on the chopping block. But here's the thing, if a merger is on the table, why haven't they already started working together more closely? It feels like there's a disconnect between the teams and the WRU's vision. What this really suggests is that while the WRU is pushing for change, the teams themselves might not be entirely on board. If you ask me, the biggest question here is about identity. Rugby in Wales isn't just a sport, it's a way of life. Cutting a team or merging 2 isn't just a business decision, it's a cultural one. I can't help but wonder if the WRU is underestimating the emotional impact of this move. Yes, they're talking about financial stability and long-term success, but what about the fans who've supported these teams for generations? This isn't just about numbers, it's about people. So, where does this leave us? Well, personally, I think this is a pivotal moment for Welsh rugby. The WRU's plan could either set the stage for a new era of success or become a cautionary tale about the risks of restructuring. What makes this really interesting is that it's not just about rugby, it's about leadership, culture, and the future of a sport that means so much to so many. As we watch this unfold, I'll be keeping a close eye on how the teams, fans, and stakeholders respond. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just a story about cutting teams, it's a story about what it means to build something that lasts. And that, my friends, is what makes this so fascinating.